In this video, I'm going to let you know how to get the best product samples and quality control with Yiwu sourcing agent. This is Fung Cheng and I help people by sharing my marketing and business advice. So you come to this video, maybe you are an Amazon FBA seller or you are doing export-import business. You have come to the right place because I'm going to explain to you with a Yiwu sourcing agent how could you get the best qualities, the best product samples and quality control out of it. The game of sourcing is tough if you don't know how to play it. But don't worry, because I'm gonna let you know how to do it step by step. So the first step is requesting product samples. When you try to request for product samples, you gotta understand that there's always gonna be a cost. Say you go to a supplier and you find a potential product, then you request for product samples. At that time, the supplier may tell you that you gotta pay for it, especially for your product that require customization, right? You may be customized the materials, some color, designs, or putting your logo on it. Because it makes sense, because there's gonna be some labor cost associated with the product samples, right? The supplier, they've got to, pay for the labor just to make one special item for you. Depending on the material and the customization, a product sample, the sample cost is ranging from 20 to 100 bucks, right? It really depends on what product. The more complex and more customization of your product sample, the more they're gonna charge. Then it's gonna be the shipping cost for the sample. Depending on the destination, right? If you request the supplier to ship the sample to you in North America, it's gonna cost more because using an express courier, right, is gonna be something like $50 US to $100 US in normal. But say if you got an agent in China, say an Yiwu agent, you can actually request the suppliers to send the samples to the agent. In this situation, it doesn't really cost that much. It's much cheaper than shipping from China to North America. Because the domestic shipping in China doesn't cost much. Only costs like $3-4, right? Depending on your location. And the shipping time is gonna be much faster than international shipping. Say 2 days, 3 days. So this is actually one of the benefits when you use a Yiwu agent, right? Because you don't need to wait for the samples, from far away if you're located in other countries. You can just have the agent to inspect the samples for you, take some picture or video for you, right? You're gonna have advantage if you have to test out a lot of new products. It's gonna be much faster this way. Setting clear expectation. So you want to be very specific about what you expect in terms of quality, quantity, and presentation. You don't want to spend so much time on a sample and you say you finally receive the product sample and then you find out this is not what you want. So you've got to be very clear on your expectation and the product requirement. So the next one is you got to remember that patience is key. The product sample is gonna take some time, so you gotta have the patience. Say you order the product sample today, it's gonna take some time for them to produce it, right? You got a special logo, you got a special color, customization and stuff. The more complex of your product sample, the longer you gotta wait. Sometimes when in the middle of the production, you got a new idea, right? You wanna change some colors or materials and stuff, and then if you tell the suppliers to for the change, it's gonna be reset everything again, and that happen a lot. Sometimes it takes 3-5 times back and forth just to get the right product samples. Let's go to the next step. The next step is strategies for cost efficiency. When you ask for a sample from a supplier, you gotta consider asking for a refund on the sample cost when you place a larger order. Say you go to a supplier and you ask for product samples, well, with some customization, then the supplier may tell you that it's gonna cost you $100 US. It makes sense that you pay for the product sample at this point, but you gotta tell the supplier that what if I am happy with your product samples and I'm gonna place an order. Are you gonna refund? Give me a refund for the sample cost. 99% of the supplier is gonna say yes. So do remember to ask for a refund for the sample cost. The next tip is gonna save you a lot of money. It is bundle samples. Say you're placing a lot of product samples from different suppliers all over China, right? Instead of asking them ship the product to you, to your countries, one by one, try to bundle samples from different suppliers to a single address. Because if you remember what I said, you know the local delivery cost, the shipping cost in China is only like $2-3, $3-4, right? So try to ask all the suppliers to ship it to one local address in China. And this way it's gonna save you a lot of international shipping cost. So how can I do that? How can I find someone in China to help me to gather the different product samples and then combining into one box and ship it to me? How does it work? You can actually find people or company like the inspection firm, freight forwarder, or sourcing agent. In some situation, I've actually seen some FBA seller. They have hired the Chinese student in China. Or for some people that actually got a Chinese friend, right? Then you can ask the friend to do that for you. So this tip is gonna save you a lot of international shipping cost. And the process is actually not complicated. And then to save even more, I'm gonna give you the other tip. For possible cost saving, request the supplier label the sample as no commercial value. Because it's just a sample, right? You are not trying to buy and sell that samples. So, you know, this is going to avoid additional duties because you are not selling the product, in fact. All right, so let's go to our next step, evaluating product samples. When you got the product sample, you want to check if there's any visible defect, right? So you got to carefully check the samples for obvious flaws, including scratch, dents, or missing components. You want to make sure that the physical appearance of the product is the same as what was advertised. If you have got any questions or complaints, you know, you gotta stand up and, you know, tell it to your suppliers. Don't try to compromise it, because if you get a fraud, a defect, you know, for your product samples, what about the larger orders, right? The problems or issues are going to only going worse for your larger orders. Functional testing. You gotta thoroughly test each product to ensure they operate as intended. Check their features and operation to ensure everything is working okay. Comparison to original requirement. So this one is obvious. When you receive the product sample, try to compare what you have told the supplier, you know, to customize for you. It is very common for sellers, you know, when they wait so long to finally receive the product samples, and then they compromise on a product that doesn't meet their initial requirements. They just want to place an order as soon as possible because they've waited so long and they want to get in the Amazon business, the game, fast. And I can tell you that this is going to be a deadly mistake. So you got to have your patience, right? If you find out the product sample that doesn't meet your initial requirements, you know, ask their suppliers to redo it. You gotta ask them to redo it. The sourcing is all about patience. It is a game of patience. So this is why I always recommend sellers to order product samples from a lot of different suppliers, even for the same product requirements, right? The same products. You ask 5, 6 of it from different suppliers. Once you get 5, 6 product samples from different people, then at least if you get half of it, you know, failed, you still have 2 or 3 on hand, 2 or 3 options to choose from. But if you only, you know, ask 1 or 2 suppliers, then what if 2 of them failed? You gotta wait again, all over again, right? So this is how important when you get to communicate with a lot of different suppliers. Because of this reason, you should consider just use a Yiwu agent. Because a Yiwu agent or any other agent in China, they can help you to handle what we have just discussed. And they are going to help you to get a much faster response time. Say the initial product requirement. You actually don't need to tell that all over again to different suppliers. It's going to be time consuming. Instead, you tell the product requirement to the Yiwu agent and have the agent to tell the same requirements to 10, 20 different suppliers. And then you want to have the agent to handle the shipment for you, right? Just, because all the suppliers are going to ship their samples to the address of the agent. At this time, you can ask for the agent to ship everything for you to your country. Or you can, if you trust the agent, right? Say you have worked with the agent for many years. They know you, you know them. Then in this situation, you can just ask them to do the inspection for you. And this is going to save you a lot of time. But of course, to get the right Yiwu agent, it's going to take you time. But once you find one that you can trust, it's going to last for a very long time. So I always suggest that if you got a lot of new product to launch, to test, then it is better that you have someone to do it for you, at least in the very beginning, because it's going to save you some time and money, right? Once you get everything, smooth and ball rolling, then you can just cut out the middleman, cut out the new agent, and do it by yourself. But in terms of the quality control, right? Even though you got someone who to inspect for you, you still want to be proactively engaged, because you got to remember at the end of the day, you are the brand owner of the product, right? So you are the one who is responsible for everything. You want to delegate someone to do the work for you, but you still want to be the guy who is doing the final decision. All right, so that's it. Before we wrap this video, I would like to hear your comment. Comment below and share your experience with others. You can also join our Facebook group if you would like to receive some good tips and tricks for e-commerce and sourcing in China. The link is in the description below. Thanks for watching. I will see you next video.